Alright everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm basically going to talk about how you can use AI and automations within your service business to increase profitability, reduce costs, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be talking about in this video how to use AI chatbots and different automated responses style that you can use within your business. I'm going to go through it within this whole funnel. So if you could imagine your business, in 4 steps. First step, you need a lead to notice your business. So as to notice your business, see you online, and so on. Then they're going to inform themselves. Then they're going to contact you, and then they're going to purchase from you. So that's what the whole client, funnel looks like as a macro scale. So we're going to talk about how you can use AI and I would say the best, in my opinion, automations and AI setups that you could do within every single level of your business. So all 4 of these levels. So first thing I want to share with you is going to be how to get more leads to notice your business through AI and through automation. So how to use automations for your advantage there. So let's go from the start here. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I have videos covering this more in depth. This is just going to be more an overview of what you can do. So a few things you could do is that if you create an AI chatbot, and you can use software like Go High Level or any other type of software you might find online, and you create these AI chatbots, you train them, let's say, with your business. So in this case, we have one for our own business that we trained on different FAQs, different questions on our website and so on. And so now it's good enough so that it can answer different questions. And you could train specifically to answer reviews. So this is what I want to get to here. So basically, when you Google My Business, you could connect these AI chatbots to respond to your reviews. So that's number one. That's one of the ways you could get more leads, in a sense, is by responding to those reviews. Now you might say, how do you get more leads by responding to reviews? Well, the idea is that the better your reputation is online, the better you appear, the more responsive you are, the better your brand looks. And so if ever someone is looking at your business, they're going to be more likely to contact you to become a potential lead. Now, also the other thing is with review responses, which I talked about in the other videos, but this one specifically, I'm going to do it quickly, is that when you respond to reviews, people get notified. And so those clients that you maybe never responded to, they're going to get notified about your business again. They're going to think about it again and potentially contact you or purchase from you again. So that's an idea there. Plus, you could respond to reviews, get those negative reviews removed. So maybe by responding, with the AI chatbot, you would respond to the review, and that person had put you a 3-star, but their experience changed and so on. And so they're going to change the review. So things like that to keep in mind as why it's worth it. But that's number one in terms of using AI for that. So number one would be review sites. You could use it to automate it there. In terms of SEO, there's softwares you could use. There's a software called the Journalist AI, which basically creates programmatic. So it basically creates more pages on your website every month, every day, every week, whatever you set it at. That's basically going to be AI content, like blog pages they're going to create every day. So you can use those types of softwares there. In terms of using a chatbot, I'm going to talk about that later, but from what I know, there's no ways to automate content creation by itself. Like let's say using Wix or WordPress and so on, there's no ways to do it within that. So you need an extra software to do that as well. So there's going to be that there. In terms of social media, what you could do is you could respond to DMs. So same principle as with the review sites, you could create your AI chatbot, you could connect it to your social media, and then it could respond to all of them. So that's a way to get more leads, because you could interact with these people quicker and increase the likelihood they end up visiting your website or contacting you directly there. So that's the idea there for social media. In terms of your maps, not much to do there. Apple Maps, whatever, there's not much to do there. Directories, there's software, which it's not necessarily an AI or an automation, but there's software where you could post on every single directory at once. I believe one is called Yelp. And so they could post on, not Yelp, it's Yext, Y-E-X-T. And then you could use it to post on Google My Business, Yelp, Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, all that type of stuff, all at once. And it's going to update it all at once as well. So as soon as you change it once, it changes everywhere as well. That's the idea for that. In terms of referrals, I'm going to show you guys what type of automations you can set up. So basically, to ask for referrals, you can set up one of these. So this is one that we have set up for our business, is that as soon as the client, all the work is done, or maybe we finished onboarding the client, this flow is going to trigger. And so the person is then going to be asked to leave us a review. In our case, we have a 30-day delay. We ask them for referral after. There's many ways to do this, but basically what happens is that the client finishes working with us. They get an email. 30 days later, this is just within the CRM. But anyways, 30 days later, they get another email about whatever other action we want them to take. So this is a one-time setup in a sense, connected to your CRM, and it's going to set automatically. So what that does is that gets you more reviews, all basically automatically. and gets you more referrals potentially as well. You could always connect your AI chatbot within these, and so you could get personalized messages to each person. But I feel like it gets a little bit too complex for most businesses, at least at the early stages. So it's not worth it necessarily to even go into deeper. So that's going to be the idea there for referrals. Now after that, for outreach, there's a bunch of softwares where you could basically automate your outreach. So that's going to be your Instantly's. There's other softwares for DMs, but I'm not too familiar with them. But Instantly is going to be the one for cold email. There's another one, I believe it's Klaviyo, or even there's a bunch, ListKit, all that type of stuff. So basically you would send out cold emails automatically to prospects and potentially get you some leads there. This I would say very difficult to get into as a beginner, in a sense that there's a lot of variables to take into consideration. It gets a little bit heavy and it's not automated enough so that you could just press a few buttons and it would send out. A lot of gurus online or a lot of YouTubers are going to mention that it's an easy way to get leads. It might be an easy way if you know exactly the structure, how to set it up. So that's going to be the idea there. Then you got your other ones, or cold text or cold calls and so on. There is AI chatbots for cold calls, so they might get to that point where they can do that for you. But at this moment now, I don't see them doing it. And the other thing too is that after that, all the legalities behind that and so on. So that's something else. Past customers, you might have an infinity flow. This is a flow or even a newsletter, but that's a little bit less automated. Infinity flow is basically you would create 50 messages. So like the flow here. So as soon as the client is finished with you, let's say, they would trigger work is all done. You would send them an email every week, every month for the rest of their lives. That basically is just an automated thing. You have 50 million emails set up. You send them at every 3-month interval. That just basically keeps the client in the loop about your business. You keep offering them something every month, every 3 months, and so on. And so that just keeps reminding them of your business, and that's completely automated. So that's the idea there. So that's how you could basically get more leads through AI and through automation. Now, in terms of when the lead inform themselves, so when a lead informs themselves, that's basically when they check you out. So when they're checking you out, they're going to check, your online reputation. They're going to check your website. They're going to check maybe your content, and they're going to make a decision about your business. So how you could use AI here, this is going to be a little bit repetitive here, but same thing for the online reputation. So if you have your Google My Business profile, you can use your AI chatbot to connect it there. In terms of your website, what you could do is you could create the AI chatbot and have it as a widget on your website, and that's going to answer client reviews. So you see how you create the AI chatbot once, but you can connect it to your website, to your online reputation, to all your social media. So it's a one-time building asset in a sense, and then you can connect it to every single other platform. So that's going to be that there. And then same thing with your content, you're going to be able to connect there to respond to people's DMs and so on and so forth. So that's the idea there. So that's how you could do it here. In terms of when a lead contacts you, this is where it's going to be the most interesting to use AI and automations. So whenever someone inquires about your business, so whether they text you, email you, DM you, call you, or even fill out a form, you can have a bunch of automations set so that it responds to them automatically, sends them information about your business, and that's going to increase your close rate, increase your show up rate to appointments, and so on and so forth. So if I could give you an example, let's say the ones that we use, when the person is confirmed in the appointment, so the person takes an appointment with us, we're going to send them first, an appointment confirmation email, then an appointment confirmation SMS. 3 minutes later, we send them a bonus email, just some more information they might need. 24 hours before the call, we're going to send them another email. 3 hours before, another email. 1 hour before, another email, as well as the SMS. And then 15 minutes before, it's not really a reminder, it's just more information for the call. So 15 minutes before, and then a 5-minute reminder SMS just to tell them, hey, I'm on the call, here's a link, just to make sure they have the link again. So the idea here is you could set this up once again. So this is the idea with automations in general, but you could set this up once, connected within your CRM, and that's going to potentially could increase your show up rate, could even increase your close rate because you're giving them more value at every step of the stage, at every stage. And so in the end, you're just getting more revenue for the same amount of people that signed up to your program or to your service. So that's the idea there with that. Now you could always implement AI chatbots within that. Again, a little bit more difficult to do. So if you were to have the AI chatbot, let's say like this one, and you would teach it specifically for that, you could embed it here so that it has conversations with people. So if ever they reply back, you could actually send them back an email and they're going to do that conversation for you. At this stage, I believe at least for appointment confirmations, I don't believe it's necessary. When it comes to maybe some more detailed things, you could set that up so that it responds to people. So let's say if you're during the sales process and you can't answer, let's say after 5 p.m. you don't have, your team can't respond to people after 5 p.m. Well, at least you can have your AI chatbot connected so that your leads, let's say if they're asking you a question by email, it's going to get an answer back in the next 5 minutes. So it keeps the leads engaged, keeps them engaged as long as, you know, the day goes, and then the next day when your team can respond, they're going to be able to respond there. So that's the idea with that. Now in terms of the other ones here, so automated responses, missed call text back. This is an interesting one. We don't have one set up because we don't take calls, you know, except for talking about Zoom calls, but we don't take phone calls. And so what you can do, so I don't have an example to show you, but what you can do is you can have a missed call text back. So basically whenever somebody calls your business and you can't answer them back, it's going to send them a text. And what that does is that it keeps that lead engaged more with your business. So let's say if you're a service business like a contractor, roofer, whatever it may be, somebody calls your business at 8:30, whatever, that person at work is on a break, it's going to be able to send them a text so that when the person calls them back, there's a higher likelihood they pick up again. And there's ways also to do it so that when you answer back on text, you answer back with the name of the business or the name of the rep that's going to call them back. And what that's going to do is that on iPhone, I believe, they're going to have their contact information. It's going to be recorded. So let's say, to give you an example to make this a little bit simpler, the idea would be that if the person calls you, so if John calls you, you have the AI chatbot or the missed call text back automation, sends them back a message saying, hey John, thank you for your call. Sorry we can't pick up right now. We'll be available in 15 minutes. Signed, you know, whatever, Alex. So what's going to happen is on John's phone, it's written Alex's number, or maybe your company name, roofing ABC. And so when you're going to call them back, now they have your number. They don't just have your number, they have the name of your business. So much more likely to respond. And then also the fact that you engage with them, they're much less likely to go to your competitor. So maybe they're searching you up on Google, they're calling one, they're calling the other. Now they're going to wait for your call. And they're going to be on standby, so they're not going to start doing anything else. So that's the idea with that. And also you could set it up so that it responds at any time, on any day. So if on the weekends you're closed and you're not doing anything there, maybe you're getting, 10% of your calls around the weekends or after hours. Well, now you're going to be able to have responses to that and increase the likelihood that when you call them back on Monday, they're actually going to respond. That's the idea there. You could do it also with automated voicemail drops, but in most cases, I've seen the car salesmen or car selling companies use this a lot, so that whenever you call them, let's say it could be let's say you're the rep, you're calling them, it's going to give them an automated voicemail drop so that it responds to them automatically. You could have it with AI, you could set this up as well. So that's the idea with that. In terms of your appointments, you're going to have a bunch of flows you could create. So I showed you before the appointment reminders. So if you have an appointment, you can have appointment reminders. You can have warm-up flows to warm them up before the appointment, which basically the two in one, you do both at the same time. But then you can have some post-consultation flows, missed consultations flows, or missed call flow, missed inspection, whatever it may be. These are just different ways to say it. But in the end, what you could do is, if I could give you an example. So let's say here, if the person canceled the appointment, in our case, we have triggers that go on. So let's say the person canceled the appointment. We do a cancel appointment check back email, send them that email. 3 days after, if they don't reschedule, we send them another email. 4 days later, they don't reschedule, send them another email. So it's 7 days from the initial call. Then 25 days later, we send them another email, and that's it. So, seems complicated as a whole, but it's relatively simple to set up. And what basically happens is that when they don't book a call again with you, you keep sending them emails until they either stop responding, and then at the end we set them up in the infinity flow, which is basically the flow that I was talking about before, that you can send every 3 months or every year. So this is the same for everyone, so it's not dependent on the type of call they took. So that's the idea there. And then you could do the same thing for missed appointments. So if the person misses the appointment, same principle as the canceled. So let's say if you go back here, client missed the appointment. Client missed appointment email, we send them an email to mention it. 3 days later, we send them another email. 4 days later, we send them another email. And then 30 days after, we send them another email. So that's the idea that. And then after that, this one gets a little bit more complex. It's going to be dependent on your business, but just to give you an idea of what's possible here. So let's say you would have, if the person, let's say after the call, so you have the call with that person, you send them the quote, or maybe they're not responding, or they say they're not interested, or whatever. If they reject you directly, you could have a certain flow that goes through it, and you could still add them to your infinity flow, which basically, if ever they need your service again in the future, maybe they say no now, but they might be interested in the future, it keeps them engaged with you. Then after that, you could have, if they accept the offer, maybe this one you want to do personalized, but in any case, you could send them a thank you message with your bonuses or anything of value that you could send them. If they say, I'll think about it, you can send them a certain one. If the payment is received, you send them a certain one, and so on and so forth. So you can make this as complicated as you want or as simple as you want. Just the idea that you could do this and basically automate all these messages instead of having your team do it. Let's say if you have your sales team, your secretary, whatever it may be, instead of them having to do this manually, just could be completely automated at once. So that's the idea there. And then this one was the other one there. So that's the idea with when a lead contacts you. And that's basically, I would say, it for using automations and AI. Like the last section here would be when a lead purchases from you. But when they purchase from you, here it's basically the different ways you could offer your services. That's going to be so dependent on your business that there's no real way I could talk about in this video of how it could be useful for you to use automations. But in any case, this is pretty much it for the video. This is the all-encompassing of how you can basically use AI and automations within your business. In terms of how to actually set these things up, I believe it's on this channel as well that I have videos on how to set these things up, or else it's going to be in my bio. I have a channel dedicated to more how-to tutorials. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out in the bio. And then that's pretty much it for this video. So if ever you want to download our trainings, we have 12 free trainings, so completely free for service businesses, basically going over this whole funnel in a document form. So if you ever want access to that, it's going to be linked in the description below. You can get that for free. It's also going to be in the comments, I believe. And then that's pretty much it. So if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I'm going to keep doing some videos, hopefully. Keep doing some videos about how to optimize every single aspect of your service business and hopefully bring some value. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one.